With us now is our 4th District Congressman Ron Estes. Congressman, thank you for joining us. Pleasure to have you on the show again. Thanks for swinging by. I hope you grabbed some of that barbecue that they have.
I have not had any of the barbecue yet, but it smells great.
It does. It does. Well, we've got a great crowd, so it's always nice to have you with us. I want to start with the border. In July, the southwest border saw a record low number of illegal crossings. The Border Patrol said that only 4,500 apprehensions, which is down. I mean, they were doing 22, 24 just a year ago under Joe Biden. This represents a 24% decrease just from June. So you're seeing massive decreases in what we're seeing on the border. It's amazing what a difference a president can make.
It really is. And what it highlights is that what President Biden said when he was running is that he lied when he said he needed new laws from Congress to actually enforce the border. President Trump's enforced it when he was in his first term. He's enforced the current laws that he's in this term. And you've seen a steadily step down every month President Trump has been in office. And in fact, June was even a higher percentage reduction, because in June of a year ago, it was over 83,000 illegals were, and I say apprehended because they weren't really arrested. It's normally they come across the border and then they say, "Okay, I give up. Take us to get the free food and send us into the country."
Yeah, here's your Obama phone.
Yeah. So it's a 93% reduction down to just 6,000 people in the month of June, and as you said, dropped in July as well down to 4,500. And it's so important because it's not just people that have crossed the border, but we know that as part of that, what the cartel folks were doing was they were bringing families and some of these other folks that have been paying them money. They would plop a dozen people at one edge of the sector that the patrol had, and then they go sneak their cartel members through the other sector and sneak the fentanyl in. And we've seen almost 300 people a day die from fentanyl, and it's not just people that are using it that are overdosing on it, but it's the first responders when they go to retrieve them. It's the family members. It's the doctors and nurses at the ERs. It's children have gotten a hold of it, and it's just a sad case. And for a president to have not done to stop the deaths of that many Americans on a daily basis, I mean, that's equivalent of an airplane crashing every day. And the president didn't do anything about it when President Biden was in office.
I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the One Big Beautiful Bill, and in particular some of the responses that we've seen. And I think there's a reason that Democrats, the Democrat Party in particular, has got such low approval. I think what I saw, 24% approval rating of Democrats. And the American public's turning against them. And I think it's in part because they opposed the common sense cuts. You had cuts to taxpayer-funded Medicaid for illegals in folks who are able-bodied adults who refuse to work. The fact that Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood, things like that. Even Democrats oppose taxpayer-funded abortion. And yet, when that bill came up, they all fell lockstep in line with that, to oppose the bill. And I think that's one of the reasons why the American public is turning against them.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, what they talk about, the Democrats in Congress talk about that they want to support, are policies that aren't defensible. I mean, they're horrible ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're talking about, okay, American taxpayers should pay free health care for illegals that have crossed the border, or American taxpayers. I mean, Americans are generous people, and we want to provide a handout for people, as far as a hand up in their process. But we also expect that if you're an able-bodied adult and you don't have kids, you should be able to expected to work or get some education or even at least volunteer as little as 20 hours a week.
Right. Skin in the game, basically.
Yeah. I mean, to show that you have some responsibility for what you're being given. And, they threw out a lot of numbers, 14, 15 million people that are going to lose their Medicaid was what the numbers they were projecting. But they projected that over 10 years. Now, what they didn't say was the Medicaid rolls are still going to increase. They're just going to increase at a slower rate. So they calculated that delta was the 15 million people that would lose it. And what they didn't say as well is that there are over 1.2 million people that are enrolled in Medicaid in 2 different states. And there's about 1.6 million people that are enrolled in Medicaid and an Obamacare health insurance policy. So those
double
are part
dipping.
of they're double dipping.
Yeah.
So those are part of the people that are going to come off the Medicaid rolls.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully, and they won't. Their health insurance won't be affected at all. So when the Democrats and their talking heads and supporters in the media say that people are going to lose health coverage, that's not true.
Yeah. Speaking of talking heads, I don't know if you've seen this. You probably haven't because why would you? But yesterday, at an event, perennial loser Beto O'Rourke had a real choice one, and I won't say exactly what he said. But he said, and I'm quoting here, he said, F the rules, F what for what F means, and called for Democrats to redistrict in any way possible, unquote. Now, Congressman, if you look at, like, say, Delaware, for example, 25% of the state are registered Republicans, yet their entire delegation is all Democrat. Same for Rhode Island, Hawaii. Granted, we don't want to. You don't want to cheat, but necessarily, the whole media, the whole country on the left, is up in arms about what Texas is doing. Democrats have been doing this for decades.
Exactly, the Democrats have done redistricting, gerrymandering for
right.
years,
and they fled to Illinois, the most gerrymandered state in the country.
Yeah, I mean, there's 7 Democratic states that have more than one representative that don't have any Republicans in it. And they range from, the Republican vote was anywhere from 1/3 to 48% of the vote. And the Republicans were not allowed because of their gerrymandering to have a seat in that. And it's also funny that, these Democrats from Texas that fled the state and didn't do their job, they went to Illinois. Illinois is a state where the Republicans got over 30% of the vote, but they only have 17% of the members of the House of Representatives because of the horrible, if you look at a map of Illinois, horrible
it's laughable.
redistricting, the way they did it. So it's a case in political pandering that they're
What's
talking
good for the
about
goose
now.
is good for the gander.
In Massachusetts, that Republican got 36% of the vote, and 9 Democrats and no Republicans in the Massachusetts delegation.
Yeah, and again, we're not necessarily encouraging this type of gerrymandering. I don't like it. I'd rather we find a system that doesn't do that. But for them to say we're in the wrong, the Republicans are in the wrong, when they've been doing it for years, it's just, you have to laugh at the hypocrisy of it.
Even in California, that supposedly has a nonpartisan redistricting commission, but of course it is partisan because Democrats select who the majority of the members are.
Much like our nominating system for Supreme Court justices.
Yeah. In California, there's 26% of the delegation is Republican, whereas the Republicans got 40% of the vote in terms of that process. And so they're out wailing that that's not fair in terms of they should be able to cheat more in terms of that structure. I think, if we put it into a computer system and let it calculate from the northwest corner of every state and just started going east and south until you got enough for one district and then start the next one.
Yeah.
And that'd be much better than the process that exists today.
Oh, I agree completely. We're talking with Congressman Ron Estes. For the first time in more than 9 years, the federal government had a budget surplus last month. We're seeing GDP growth. I lead in with that because when you get back, your biggest task now is the fiscal 26 budget. You get the spending bills. I know, that's really your biggest task now before you.
Yeah, that's what's really left. But it's so important. I don't want to lose sight of what you mentioned in terms of the rescission that we put and actually being able to cut $9 billion out of spending, which was small potatoes in terms of what we need to be doing in terms of that. And looking at the things we're cutting out of that, I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder on some of the things you're doing. With,
you can't say anything specific because we're going to do the game here.
Well,
I
have some extreme crazy ideas that they were spending money on.
Trust me, we've got them. We've got them.
Well, good.
Roman gave them to me.
Well,
Roman gave me the list.
What makes sense is let's spend the American taxpayer money in a smart and prudent way.
Novel concept.
It is, and just like
on Americans.
Ty, when he was in here, Ty Masterson said that food stamps. Governor Kelly has never had an error rate on food stamps below 6%. It was below 6% before she came in office. It's been up into the 20% in terms of their. That just means that the department's not managing the process well.
Right.
And so they don't want to have a scorecard. They don't
either
report back.
intentionally or just because of incompetence.
For so long a period of time, it was they were trying to put more people on rolls and push out more money because they weren't responsible. And what Governor Kelly should be doing, and this is what we set up in the One Big Beautiful Bill, is a responsibility on states. If states are going to give away this federal money through programs that we're set up on, and governors aren't managing and making sure that it's not done without errors, then the governors should be responsible for paying that administrative cost. And Governor Kelly needs to be looking at taxpayers in Kansas in the eye and say, well, yeah, she didn't make the department work well enough, and so she's going to have to raise Kansas taxes in order to make the department work well enough.
I know I've got to let you run because I know you want to mingle and have some barbecue, but can I ask one last question that's a little more personal? I found out through someone who we both know that you've been dealing with some threats, that your office has received some threats, that you personally have received threats. We could disagree. Heck, I saw it when I was in the legislature. I get it now. I get posts and things like that and messages on social media. But have we lost some common decency? Have we lost some respect? I was kind of shocked when I heard that you've actually received, because it's one thing to disagree with somebody, but to threaten them, have you ever seen it this bad?
No, it's pretty bad right now. And in terms of, and I think you hit the nail on the head, is a lack of respect for people. And there's been such a clamoring for how can somebody maintain the power that they want, whether they have it today or don't have it, but just going out and grasping that power. And when they don't do it with ideas that voters support, then they try to go out and demonize and criticize and attack. And, we've seen all of these attacks out there. There's actually additional funding being done on a pilot project to support members of Congress for security needs as we go through, see what process. We can't have a detail for every member of Congress. It's just prohibitively expensive. It'd be almost $1 billion with a B a year for every member to have a security detail to protect them. So right now it's the speaker and leadership folks that have those details, because obviously they're in the roles that are much more important. But we track threats. There's probably threats are worse now than ever before that the Sergeant of Arms and the United States Capitol Police actually do a good job of. We just got to make sure that we should think more as Americans. What do we agree on? And what do we work together? What is it that's our common thread that ties us together, that we look at how do we make America better?
Well, and it's unfortunate that we can't disagree without being to this extent of disagreeable. And I was surprised. I've known you since you were treasurer. And it's one thing to look, I may not like the way you vote on something, or I may not like the way AOC votes on anything. But I wouldn't threaten her. You see, it's just let's vote against her, let's rally against her. But you don't have to go to that extreme.
And you see all sorts of stuff. You see people just go out disrupting town halls, go out and disrupting speeches. You saw one of the members earlier in the last couple of weeks had somebody bring a coffin to their house and put on and prop up on their front door just because they're trying to intimidate and Again, we can't lose sight that we're all Americans, that we should be looking at what binds us together instead of how can we look at something that's individual or some special interest. Yep.
Well, Ron, if folks want to subscribe to Ron's Reads, or if they want to reach out, what's the best way for them to connect?
On the official side, the best way to reach out is estes.house.gov. That's our official webpage. You can sign up for a newsletter there. We don't sell your name and address. We don't campaign through that either. It's just a way to get truthful facts out. We also have some things set up, as you mentioned, Ron Reed. We do some things through the campaign as well at Estes for Congress.
Well, the Ron's Reads are great. I've used a few of those on my carry-on commentaries, so I appreciate it. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, and it's good to be here. It's good to be able to talk about the truth, and that's kind of what we really want to do with Ron's Reads is let's talk about ideas that are really good and truthful so that people have the facts.
They're good. I recommend folks subscribe. Congressman, thank you again. Appreciate it. Say hello to your lovely wife.
All right.
Please.
Thank you.